Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this webinar. Shall we start by word of prayer? Father, thank you for this session. May you be upon us as we go through the session. May you be with us, help us understand everything. Through Christ Jesus, we pray and give thanks. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, everyone, for attending our webinar. We would like to start off. The topic for today is how to use company financial statements to analyze stocks. We've been joined by our guest, and I would like to do the bio presentations of the guest. Linda, please go ahead. Our guest speaker for the day is Robert Ochieng. He is the CEO and co-founder of Abojani Investment and has helped over 5,000 Africans get started on investing. Ochieng is renowned for his ability to break down and demystify finance in a way that is relevant for all. He is an insightful thought leader in fintech and financial market matters and has over 12 years experience in the financial sector. It is great pleasure to have you, Robert, joining us this evening. Kindly say hi to our attendees.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Robert. Our second speaker will be Linda Makatiani. Linda is a passionate advocate for financial literacy, inspiring and empowering people through investor education. She has 10 years experience in the capital markets and is currently the capital market specialist at Sharehub, an edu-gaming and informational hub platform that gets people to play as they learn how to invest in the stock market. Karibu sana, Linda.
Thank you, Irene, and welcome everyone.
As we usually say, it is taboo to like your own post. Let me invite Linda to read my bio. Thank you.
Yes, so it's an honor to introduce Irene. Irene Mugua is in charge of business development at Sharehub and is also part of the product development team. She has been a key resource in the development of the Sharehub concept from inception to date. With over 10 years of experience in the capital markets industry, Irene brings unique perspectives on developing solutions to make the stock market more inclusive for the young generation. So Irene's down-to-earth training methods compels audiences to enjoy themselves while they learn.
Asante sana, Linda, for that introduction. Maybe to mention a bit on what we'll be covering today, we shall be covering the three most important financial statements. We will look at the balance sheet, income statement, and the cash flow statement. And we'll be able to see what are the basic items that you're supposed to check on the three financial statements. It is good as we wait for companies to announce during their end of year, we at least know what is it that we are checking for. When you hear people saying that KCB has announced and they have very good results, what are the key things that you can pick from the statements they give, and you'll be able to make informed decisions during your investment journey as you're a beginner, or even though that you're already in the investments. The takeaways will be that as at now from this webinar, you'll have known what is it to check for. If you pick a report, what is it exactly that you check? As you've seen from my bio, I'm quite passionate about the younger generation, and being that Kenya population over 70% are young people, we need to bring them, we need to leverage this arena and have even young people joining in and learning more about the stock market. All through the webinar, we'll be running some surveys and some polls. These are voluntary, but we would appreciate if you participated in them, just to take a few analytics here to know who is our audience. As we start, I would like to give this chance to Robert Ochieng to kick us off on the webinar. Karibu sana, Robert.
Thank you very much, Irene, Linda, Nelly, and team, Sharehub, for inviting us today so that we share with you some insights on financial analysis. So this will be a discussion today, and we hope that it will open your eyes in your journey of investing in the stock market. So very, very happy to see that you already have 70 participants. So please share with your friends and WhatsApp groups. Let them join so that you can have as much knowledge as possible. So just say our business analysis framework, our framework for investing in shares at Abojani. Usually we start by business analysis. Then we go to financial analysis. Then valuation. And finally, buy your first shares. Stroke buy more. Yeah, so the reason why I've put buy your first shares or more is because we usually say that we are not a school where people just come to learn, then they go home. So we emphasize a lot on doing, and I hope that will challenge you, that at the end of the day, an investor is basically someone who is optimistic about the future and they have the courage to invest. Otherwise, if you have no courage to invest, we can call you an analyst or someone who is excited about investing. But at the end of the day, we also want you to enjoy the gains that are in some of these companies, since you can make money in two ways when you look at investing in shares, which I believe we've covered with Sharehub team in the previous sessions. So today we are going to look at financial analysis. So after we've looked at a company, let's say, for example, you're interested in Safaricom, you have to know, first of all, how Safaricom makes money. That's very important. Which business is it in? What's the competitive landscape there? And you have to have some factual information that can tell you that there's high likelihood that the company is going to do well in future. So that's business analysis. How does it distribute its services, etc. So that's important. So after that, now, as much as we like the company, we need to look at its financial statements and see how it is performing. So usually say that financial analysis sort of msema kweli. How is the company growing? What are the numbers saying? So that's important, and that's why we are here today. So just to summarize and ensure that all of us get this session, we are going to talk about 5 things that you need to know, which are all you need to know when you talk about financial statements. So there are 5 things, and we call them relax. So relax, basically, R stands for revenue. So you can write that down. This is very, very important. E stands for equity, then L for liabilities, then A for assets, then X for expenses. So if you can have the patience to understand these 5 items, then it will becomes very easy for you to understand financial statements, because everything we'll be talking about in the financial statements will be from these 5 items. And so I want to go ahead and explain that when you start your business, even before you make your first sale, you need what we call assets. So assets are the only valuable things in a business. So valuable. So valuable. So valuable simply means that the things that you can get value from, right? So if you buy office equipment, it means that you can come to your office and you create value for us. So the office equipment allow you to create value. If you have a technology platform such as Sharehub, that is an asset, because now that platform allows us to interact with Sharehub and it creates value for us. So that is basically what you should look at when you talk about assets. And it's very, very important to know that before you can make any money, you need things that will help you generate value for your customers. And that's how we come up with assets. So different industries will need different assets, but at the end of the day, those are the things that will help us run the business. So even before we make our first sale, we should always ask ourselves, how are we going to acquire these assets and which assets do we need to run this business, whether it is equity, KCB, or Sharehub or Abojani. So because of that, there are two primary ways of being able to acquire these assets. So either you can get financing, which is basically liabilities from creditors or banks, financial partners, or the shareholders can put capital into the company. So when shareholders put capital, so let's say Linda is a shareholder of Linda Limited. Linda Limited is different from Linda the individual. So Linda the individual can fund Linda Limited with money. So that is basically the Linda Limited will have an obligation to generate value for Linda the individual. And that's why whenever we put money in these companies, we want the people who are running them to be answerable. That's why you attend annual general meetings to ask them, yes, you invested in this company of yours, where are the results? Where is the future? Because the company has got an obligation to create value for you. So the two obligations that you'll have that will help you to acquire assets, they can either be liabilities or equity. So it's very, very important for us to know that. So of course, liability you have to pay back, but equity holders or shareholders, like all of us who are here who are interested in investing in shares, you can earn or get value from the company primarily through two ways. So either the share price can go up, then you sell in what is known as capital gains, and they can also take part of their profits to pay you dividends. So that's also a source of income. So there's a very popular company that recently announced what we call an interim dividend, which is dividend that is announced before the full financial year ends. So it's announced in the middle of the year. So which company was that? You can type on the chat. So I think that's a recent development, less than 7 days old. So which company was that announced an interim dividend? Safaricom. Great. Yeah, so that's one way to earn value. So you see, as a shareholder, you are earning value, but it is your assets that made Safaricom who they are. When they did the initial public offer in the year 2008, they raised 50 billion Kenya shillings, and that was invested. Remember, M-Pesa was just 1 year old. No one knew where the company would go. So actually, you are part of that success, and that's why you're enjoying the dividends. And the good thing is that as much as we're not there in 2008, probably, you can still buy shares from those who already own Safaricom. So it's very, very important for you to understand that once you have these three items, you have what we call the balance sheet. So the balance sheet in a layperson's language, whether you are a pilot or a doctor, you are here, understand that the balance sheet is assets and how they are funded. And assets
Okay, it seems Robert has dropped off. Okay, he's muted or he has dropped off. But as we wait for him to come in, I can see that our attendees know that Safaricom issued an interim dividend. And I've seen other people saying well, we've gotten, there's also BAT. There's Safaricom from the answer I would have given, but I can see there's someone who has also mentioned BAT, that it issued an interim dividend. I don't know, as we wait for Robert to come in, Linda, what you can comment as a company starts issuing dividend, was it BAT or was it Safaricom? Maybe give a comment on that, and maybe what's the dividend that it puts?
Okay.
Sorry about
issued
that.
a dividend. Oh, that's fine. Robert is back, but they did issue a dividend. I think it was 58 cents just the other day.
Okay. Robert is back. I think
Yeah, thank you.
Discussing.
My apologies for that.
Yes. Please continue.
Yeah, thank you. So my apologies for that. Yeah, so basically, I believe we are together. So please let me know if you've understood what the balance sheet is, the listeners, that it is basically assets and how they are funded. So traditionally, we fund assets either using liabilities, which is money from third parties such as creditors or financial services partners. And then equity is basically capital from shareholders or owners. So that is what we call a balance sheet. So you'll have it even before you make the first sale. So let me know if we are together there, because it's very, very important. We've talked about 5 things that you need to understand before you look at any financial statement. So it's very, very important that you understand, relax those 5 items. So you can type on the chat if you are together so that you can move to the next step. So Ambui says that she's following closely. Okay, great. Yeah, so the next 2 items that you need to look at, a business has got only 2 activities. So a business has got only 2 activities. You can be doing a lot of things, but from a financial point of view, there are only 2 things. So the first thing that we need to be keen on as anyone who is interested in companies or as head of department or as an entrepreneur is how you are going to generate value for your customers. Are you together? So when you are a business like Equity or Safaricom, you are basically creating value for your customers while getting value. So a business is not about vibe where you are saying you are creating an impact. If you are creating an impact but not getting value, it means that you might not sustain the business. So to sustain the business, we need to understand how the business creates value. Like, for example, can you share with us on the chat 5 ways through which you can get value from Safaricom? So they have different products. So can you tell us, like, for example, currently I'm connected here, I'm using Safaricom network. That is one way. So can you tell us 5 ways? Because it is this generation of value of customers that is foundation of any business. So it's very, very important that you understand that. So type on the chat 5 ways through which you can get value from Safaricom as a company. So I believe the chat area is open. So yeah, so there's data, great. Airtime, M-Pesa services, great. That's awesome. Yeah. So thank you very much for that. Yeah. So basically, that is how this business creates value. But at the end of the day, we need to look at the numbers and see how much did Safaricom generate from all the value that it created for customers. So that's what revenue is. So revenue is value generating activities. It is an activity because you do something, then the customer will get value. So what we need to know about revenue, and I want us to understand this concept, it is a very deep concept, is that revenue is not necessarily money. Because, why? Because not all activities are prepaid. Are we together? There are situations where you can offer value and you wait to be paid later. Is that true? That you can offer value today, you can go somewhere, train, then you've not been paid. You are waiting for payment to be made 3 months from now. You've supplied goods to a supermarket or services. So you've earned the revenue, but you've not been paid. So because of that, we need to understand that revenue is not necessarily money. So many SMEs forget that. So they're usually excited by the big size contract, but they forget to negotiate on how they get paid. At the end of the day, you form a WhatsApp group where you always complain how you are not being paid by other people. So I want you to understand that you need to understand that as a business person, you have to be very careful on defining how you get paid. So a company like Safaricom, they're having fun. Why? If you don't have airtime, pole sana, there'll be no call that will make. They'll tell you you have insufficient airtime. So for them, they tend to get most of their revenue upfront. Like for this financial year that we have here, only about 10% of their revenue was outstanding, as in what they call receivables. So receivables is value that you've created, but you are yet to be paid. So it becomes as an asset. But it is true that some of these outstanding payments will never get paid. So SMEs know this, and even corporates, you can work and you find that you have millions that are outstanding. So because of that, when looking at financial statements, as much as we are keen on revenue, also look under assets, what we call receivables. This is money that they've worked for and they're yet to be paid. So you can question the company, what strategies do you have to collect this money that you worked for and they're yet to pay? So it's very, very important. So revenue is an activity. It is not necessarily money because we create value. If the business is prepaid, we get paid immediately. But if it is postpaid, it means that you work and wait to get paid later. There's a chance that some of this payment you are never going to get. So it has happened to some suppliers who supplied to some supermarkets. And also it has happened to companies that have supplied work to the government. I think there's what we call pending bills to the tune of 600 billion. So I want to emphasize that you really need to understand how that business makes money. Is it postpaid? Is it prepaid? And if it is postpaid, they need to understand that they need to sort of appraise their customer. You have to know who you are dealing with. If you are offering, you have services on credit, because there's a high chance that you can offer the value and you might never get paid. So that's something that you really need to look at. Then the second activity that we have in a business is what we call value sacrificing. For us to generate this value as Safaricom, KCB or Equity, for example, we'll have to work with third parties such as vendors, suppliers. Like most of the bank branches are leased, so they're not owned by the banks. So basically that's an expense. It is a necessary expense because that's how we serve our customers. We need employees, so we pay them salaries to help us create value. When you go to the branch, it is not the CEO who is serving you, it is the employees for the bank. The same when you go to Safaricom shop. So expenses are necessary, but some people think that they don't need to spend any money, but they want to generate value. So what that means is that you'll struggle as a company. So you need to find a way of sacrificing value so that you can generate value. So when our employees go to industrial area, for example, they're going there to talk to business people, then 3 months from now, we start making money from the leads that they made there. Because of that, expenses are necessary in a business. So these are the two main activities in a business. Everything we are doing, even if we go to Mombasa for a strategy meeting, believe me, we are not going there to have fun. We are going there to build the team so that we can work seamlessly, set good targets, and because now we have good understanding of each other. So in the long run, these are the two main activities in a business. So you have revenue and expenses. So these 5 items, once you understand them, we call them relax. They'll help you to understand financial statements. So the upper part is assets and how they are funded, that is balance sheet. But the lower part is what we call the income statement or the profit and loss statement. So the profit and loss statement will show you how the company makes money and the resources it used to make that money in terms of revenue. So these two, they are the main financial statements in a company. And once you understand these 5 items, we'll say that you have a good level or a chance to understand financial statements, because what we call accounting will rely on these 5 items. And accounting is basically a storytelling framework. So through accounting and through these 5 items, you'll be able to understand the business of Safaricom. So I hope we are together. So we'll say Safaricom made revenues of XYZ. So accounting is not the business, but accounting helps us to tell the story of our business. So you might say you are not going to invest in business A because the revenues have been dropping in the last 10 years. That's the accounting language. That is the language of business. If the profits are going up, it means that that's a good business. So it's accounting that has enabled us to understand the business. So it is a storytelling framework that anyone who is an investor should be interested in. And these 5 items would allow us to understand the 3 financial statements that we are going to talk about. So understand that cash flow statement basically relies on the decisions that you make as a business on how you get paid. So if you normally work and then you get paid later, it means that you'll have the revenue, but the cash flow statement will have nothing. But if you are prepaid, it means that as you offer the service, you are paid and you'll see money in the bank account. So there are people who are rich in terms of the revenues that they've made, but the bank has 0 shillings because they're waiting to be paid, probably 10 million, 20 million. So they become like a collection company. You work, then you start begging to get paid. So it means the company needs to optimize how they get paid, and that will affect their cash flow. So cash flow is the decisions you make. So as a company, let's say, for example, we are using Uber, then you pay at the end of the month. So you'll have the expense there of, let's say, 1 million as a company, but you've not paid it. So you need to pay it later. So that's a liability. So basically cash flow is how you make decisions on how you do your expenses and revenue. So basically with the three items, the balance sheet, the income statement, and the cash flow, we'll say that now you have a good understanding of what a business is all about, because they tell us the story of a business. So it's very, very important that as an investor, you get interested in the financial statements. First, you start by understanding these 5 items. So for Safaricom, for example, you'll have the revenue lines, like let's say voice revenue, and we'll be looking at Safaricom statements practically today. We'll have like mobile data, M-Pesa. So accounting groups items in groups a company into these 5 items so that you can understand the company. Then within each item, for example, you can see like for expenses, we have several expenses. Direct costs such as M-Pesa commissions, operating expenses such as salaries, rent, and things like that. Then depreciation and amortization refers to when we spend money on what we call capital expenditure, such as building infrastructure. So that money will go away at once, but there's the lifetime of that asset. So over time, we do what we call depreciation if it is a physical asset. If it is something like a software, they call it amortization. Then if you have a loan that you are paying as a company, you'll have what you call finance costs. And then there are taxes. So tax is also an expense. So government is a stakeholder in your company, so you have to pay taxes. Then there might be other expenses. Then in total, this is the amount of money that Safaricom sacrificed for the year ended 31st March 2021. Yet they generated 264 billion. So they have a profit of 68 billion. So from that profit, they paid dividends of about 55 billion. So it means 13 billion was retained. When that 13 billion is retained, it means that their shareholders are growing wealthier because these obligations are increasing. So in the long run, for a business to be sustainable, it needs the revenues to go beyond the expenses. Then part of the profits can be retained. They can be used to expand. Like now they're going to Ethiopia, or they can open in another country, or they can open new revenue lines and start offering more value to customers. So the more value you generate, the better for you as a company. And then with these 5 items, we say that you basically have a general understanding of a business. So I hope we are together so far on what we mean by the balance sheet and the income statement. So I need someone to read for us this. So you can raise your hand, you'll be unmuted and you read this. So this basically is the summary of what we've talked about so far, which is basically the 5 items. So you need to go step by step. And as an investor, you need to be structured. You know, for you to succeed in anything, even your business or career, I believe there's a way you do things. So that structured nature of doing things is what will allow you to analyze investments from a logical point of view and not from an emotional point of view. So logic simply means that at least you can explain eloquently why you are making a certain decision, and it needs to be backed by some facts. And that's why we are here today to learn financial statements. So Sharehub team, maybe you can have someone read for us what's in this screen.
Okay, can you go ahead and read? Assets are where the value lies in a company. Capital and liabilities are used to fund assets. Expenses are sacrificed for assets to the detriment of shareholders, but necessary, and revenues generate value for assets. Accounting groups items in a business into groups and subgroups with the 5 main groups as explained above.
So thank you very much, Irene. So I hope we are together. So the participants, you can type on the chat if you are together. So basically we've explained how assets are funded using either equity or capital, and liabilities, and what expenses really are. And finally, why accounting is important as a storytelling framework. It helps us to talk about the business. So if you are an SME, please don't go to the bank and say, I'm so passionate about my business, I love it, please fund me. in all those words, you'll not have talked about a business. You need to say, I'm growing my revenue by 10% per month. Last month, we made 500K. If you fund me, I see that number going to 800,000, and I'll be able to pay this loan where the monthly installment rate is 50,000. So that's how we talk about business. It's about those 5 items, because no one knows the level of passion. So everyone is passionate and anyone can say they're passionate. But what is in it for the bank in this business of yours? So you need to understand those 5 items. Thank you. Then now, after understanding those 5 items, then you can comfortably talk about the 3 financial statements as you've explained. So let's have one participant read for us. So Zivian, equity is basically capital. So that is the money that the shareholders have put in the business. It is also known as capital. So let's have one participant read for us this statement. So I hope you can see how we are going step by step, so that you get the gist of
Yes.
the presentation.
A number of people who have raised their hands. We are going to unmute you. Who should go first? Rosemary? Okay, Mother, kindly go ahead.
Hello.
Okay.
3 main financial statements. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, Mother, we can
Yes,
hear
we
you.
can.
Go ahead.
Okay. 3 main financial statements. One, the balance sheet or the statement of financial position describes the assets of the financial entity and how they are funded using liabilities and equity. 2, the income statement, also known as the profit and loss statement, describes the activities that grew or shrunk the value of assets and obligations, which are the liabilities and capital. 3, the cash flow statement describes what cost cash to move into. Sorry, let me read that again. The cash flow statement describes what cost cash to move into and outside the company. Thank you.
Asante sana, Martha.
Yes.
We can go ahead.
Thank you very much. So thank you very much, Irene and Martha. So I believe now you can see why these 3 statements are important and how we arrive at them. So that's important. So now that we've understood the 3 statements, there's an explanation that I want to add here. So we have 2 main uses of funds in a business. You can use the funds to buy assets, or you can use them on expenses. But sources of funds from today onwards, I want you to also know that revenue is also a source of funding, right? So let's say this company made revenues of 264 billion, then expenses were 1.5 billion. This 68 billion that we call profit is actually from revenues, and they retained about 13 billion here. So you can see revenue is also a source of funding, and it is the cheapest source of funding. So especially someone who is here and is in an SME, this day here, everyone wakes up in the morning and they say they want to be funded. Please know that customers can also fund you. That one should be at the top of KICC. Uko juma liwanekaga vitu zinaenda around, so that you can understand that actually if you can find ways to talk to your customer so that they can pay for your services, you might not even need a bank loan. So I just wanted to emphasize that. So work very hard on sales and marketing to grow that. And even the companies that are here, they are companies with very low debt because they are funded by their customers. So actually this is the cheapest source of funds. So there are 3 sources of funding, but users of funds are only 2. Thank you. Yeah, so just to go deep into the difference between liabilities and equity. So liabilities, what you need to know is that anytime a business is taking a loan, they need to read the terms and conditions of the loan. Because you've seen there's a bank in Kenya that placed ARM Cement into administration. And we all know that ARM Cement is going through the process of liquidation. So that simply means that if you take loans and you are not able to pay, there's a chance that you can lose the company. And the people who have lent to the company, they have higher priority than you as a shareholder. So you really need to be careful on the company that you invest in and ask these hard questions on the terms and conditions of the loans and ensure that they're financially sound so that they can be able to pay their loans. Because you can see if they're not able to pay their loans and things go wrong, the financial services partners will check what they can from the company. And what remains is what you'll get. In most cases, when they're liquidating a company, you'll go home with nothing. So basically, they have higher priority when things go wrong than you. So it means that as a shareholder, when things are going right, you'll enjoy. You'll be the person who will be enjoying the dividends and the share price appreciation. But when things go wrong, believe you me, you are bearing the highest risk. Because of that, to limit that risk, understand financial statements, understand how to analyze statements of companies, so that by the time you're investing, you sort of have a good understanding of the company, and you're investing from a point of view whereby you are satisfied with the performance of the company to the extent that you are likely to succeed. As much as nothing is guaranteed, but at least with the information, you can be empowered. So I hope we are together. So now we are going to do a practical analysis of at least 2 companies. So I want us to start with Safaricom. Let me know if that is okay. Then you'll give me one bank to look at so that you can see this thing practically from their financial statements. So to look at financial statements of the Safaricom, we go to Safaricom's website, then Investor Relations tab. So please note that down. For any listed companies, they'll have this information in a tab known as Investor Relations. So their most recent results were as at half year of the last financial year. So basically that one was released in November last year for the 6 months between 1st of April and 30th of September 2022. So we're looking at financial reports. Though the best report to look at once in a year is annual report, but for now, let me just use the most recent ones to just show you the 5 things we've talked about from a Safaricom point of view. So I hope it opens quickly so that you can. Yeah, so we have half year. So you have half year results. Yeah, so I normally prefer to look at the booklet for the half year, but you can also look at the investor presentation. So as an investor, you have to be interested in the company. So let me quickly go to what we have here. So these are basically good information about Safaricom, but this is why we are here today. So you can see here what we talked about revenue, total revenue for the 6 months stood at 153 billion. And then we said that accounting groups items, then there are subgroups. So under revenue, we have subgroups. So voice revenue, for example, is one way. And you can see the voice revenue is reduced by 3.8%. As someone who lives in Kenya, why do you think the voice revenue reduced? If you don't agree with that, you can question the company when they're releasing results or during the annual report. Ask them what happened. But I think generally, there's a reason that you can agree would affect voice revenue currently. What is it? So you should have an idea why certain things are the way they are. And those that you don't understand, you should be able to ask. So you can type on the chat where you think the voice revenues went down. WhatsApp call a great brand. Yeah, so you see, we understand. So it should be something that you can understand and is easy to explain. So it should not be that there's a genius who tells us that you should invest in Safaricom because I've told you to invest. You should have a logical explanation. So you can also see SMS. So SMS is also a problem. So most probably replaced by WhatsApp, but mobile data revenue is going up. Why? Because you tend to use a lot of mobile internet, mobile data. M-Pesa revenue also went up. M-Pesa, of course, now is when SMEs are getting pay bills, till numbers and things like that. Then this one is to deal with third parties that they interact with in the telecommunication sector, other revenues, like maybe Okoa Jahazi. Then you have fixed line or home internet or corporate internet comes here. So you can see the numbers also went up because that's a new frontier. So total service revenue, those are revenues we make from the mobile phone. But on top of that, they also make some money from handsets. So you can see in total, they had 153 billion. So that's how now you understand. Then you have direct costs. So these are costs that are related to direct generation of revenue, like M-Pesa commissions, airtime commissions, and things like that. Then you'll have total operating expenses. So those are things like rent, employee salaries. We have depreciation and amortization as 22 billion. So you should be able to comfortably look at this financial statement based on what we talked about. Finance costs, so this simply means they have some debt that they're paying, then profit before tax, and finally, profit after tax. Then now going deep down into direct costs, so things like assets you can also check, but I wanted to explain to you direct costs down here, because they've expanded. So you can see the expenses have been expanded, and I want you to be keen on this. So you see M-Pesa commissions. So also if you're an M-Pesa agent, you should look, are you in a business that is growing or not? It is growing. So that time it went up by 13.5%. But airtime commissions are going down because most of the times we are now buying from M-Pesa. So that one, Safaricom does not incur any commissions. But if you buy from the shops, Mashinani, they'll pay commissions to the retailer. So licensing fee, handsets, and everything. And you should know that Safaricom pays a lot of money to retain you as a customer. We don't want you to go anywhere because when you remain on the network, the revenues are growing. So you can see they spend. So this will teach you also as a business person, please spend money to retain your customer. You know, we can learn from the best. Yeah. So that people only want to make money. Once I'm subscribed as a customer, you can't even call me one day to say hi. Please interact with your customer. You can see the big boys are doing it. That's how they retain their customers. And please know that the promotions that Safaricom does, the promotions basically, they're an expense to them to try to make it worth staying on their networks. So I hope that one is a lesson that we've seen. And of course, operating costs, you can see here, you have things like the leases they have on the buildings, employee benefits, 13 billion in 6 months, so probably going to be 26 or 30 billion. So you can see that Safaricom spends a lot on employees. So it together. So these are the people who matter in this economy. 13 billion in 6 months going to households in Kenya. As an employee, you get benefits, so you can see they're spending. So these are the things that we are calling expenses. It's just now that they're under subgroups, but I hope you can see how that all goes. Then total, of course, when we remove revenue, I will have what we call profit. So it can either be a profit or a loss. So that's Safaricom. Please give me one bank, Equity or KCB, since they're the two most popular. We also have a look at the bank, a bank before you can close. So I hope you are following the conversation step by step. So please, Equity or KCB, since they're the two most popular. So some of these things are earned, you know. I think they've earned it, right? I hope I'm not biased here. This is just for explanation purposes, because there are some banks that people here will claim that for you to go there, you must be in a Mercedes-Benz. Yeah. So I want to use banks that even my grandma can easily understand for education purposes, but for investing, there are no emotions here. So now let's look at 2022. In Q3, KCB released what we call investor presentation. So please, this is a gold mine. You can see even the information I'm sharing with you. I'm not the originator of this information. So I should not tell you that just go and invest in Safaricom because I've told you so. As much as I can guide you on which company to invest in, you should have a way of verifying. And that's why we are here today, to learn the sources of information and how to analyze for ourselves. So for example, this is from KCB. Very rich information. They release this every 3 months. So you can see even the number of customers. Some people ask me, how many customers does KCB have? So I cannot know from the top of mind because KCB is the source of that information. So you can see as at September 2022, they had 13.9 million. So branches are also there. So there are a lot of information, group structure, who is there in their board management, you know. So please get that, and even their strategy, please. You have to understand the strategy of the organization before you even look at the financial statement. So we want to go down and look at the balance sheet. I want to explain to you why the financial statements for banks are a little bit different. So please study this. The information is available from their website. And if you have any question, you can always engage the company or an analyst. So just a minute to go down here. Yeah, so we have here what we call the balance sheet. So the balance sheet, we talked about assets and how they are funded. So you can see for KCB as at Q3 2022, they had 2.8 trillion assets. And those were funded using 1 trillion in liabilities and 1.28 trillion in and 187 billion in shareholder equity. So shareholder equity is the same as capital or just total equity. So this is the obligation that KCB would have to you as shareholders based on their financial statement. So you have to understand, and when you say that KCB is a growth stock, we simply means that it is growing, the balance sheet is growing, and growth should not be an opinion, it should be a number. 14% is double digit. For a bank that's over 100 years old, it means that they still are upside potential. Shareholder equity, this is the wealth of shareholders growing here based on KCB's financials. And you can see under assets, we have subgroups. You know, net loans and advances are growing. Fixed assets, banks usually don't own a lot of fixed assets like buildings, and you have investment in government securities. So you can see this information you're getting from KCB. And please note that the listed company is KCB Group. Are we together? The one that owns KCB Rwanda, KCB Tanzania, South Sudan, KCB Bank Assurance, NBK, that one is KCB Group and is the listed one. So KCB Kenya in this situation is just to see what is contributing to the group, but we are dealing with the group, which is the listed company. Then we go to the income statement. So income statement, this is how KCB generates money. So when we take loans and we pay back interest income, are we together? So that stood at 83 billion. Let me tell you, a billion is something else. So they are making 83 billion. So these are very serious companies. Are we together? 83 billion, hey, can't even process that in terms of cash like this. So that's what they made in 9 months. So it grew by 14%, but they also have to pay depositors. When you are being paid on your fixed deposit account, that is interest expense. Then you have net interest income, which is income from the lending business. On top of that, the fees and commissions, what is known as non-funded or non-interest income. So you can see that stood at 30.6 billion, and then total income was 92.1 billion. There are some operating expenses such as salaries. And please note that when people are unlikely to pay their loan, it is an expense to the bank. So some people usually claim banks are not lending. Look at it from a bank's point of view. When people don't pay loan, it is a risk and it is an expense to them. So that's what they call loan impairment. Then profit before taxes. Then our good friend, the government, you can never run away from them. You pay the tax, which is an expense. And finally, you have your profit after tax. So from now, if Linda tells me that based on analysis as at Q3 2022, I think KCB is likely to make at least 40 billion for the full year 2022. That's a logical explanation. She doesn't have to be right, but logically, I think she makes a lot of sense. So that's how you should be speaking from a logical point of view. So when KCB announces the result, we know it is likely to make 40 billion. If it makes 45 billion, it will be a surprise to us, but a positive surprise. So at least you should have an idea of the range that they're going to make in terms of profitability, because you are an investor and you've been following the development in that company. The people that when they hear that KCB has made 40 billion, they'll say, please understand the story. They're in the business of creating value and they've helped businesses with how much in loans. So please, let's learn to be careful when it comes to some of these things. As an investor, you should just keep off those opinions, cheap opinions on Twitter, because now you are empowered and you have information. So loans, how much have they given businesses? 758 billion KCB has lent to businesses to help those businesses create value. So it means that they're a brand that is creating value, and that's why they are making this money. So it simply means that there's a strategy that they've come up with of generating value for customers, and they get value for their shareholders. So that is it from my end. I'll hand the session back to the Sharehub team. Thank you.
That's a lot. That's a lot. Asante sana, Robert. We've gotten to know some new terms. If you are from the old books of accounts, we used to say profit and loss. Right now it is income statement. So it is good, and the way you have, let's say that we would have even liked to continue, you teach us more and more. We can do a few questions. I can pick a few questions before I invite Linda to come in. Earlier in the discussion, there is a lady who had asked, what are equities? Because you keep on saying equities, 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 equities. Robert.
First of all, let me hear from her if she understood it.
Mhm.
So the reason why we said relax first when it comes to financial markets, it is those 5 items. So let's relax and chill as an investor. So equity can also be called capital. So basically it's the money that shareholders have put in the business.
Okay. All right. I hope that is clear. I can ask another question, which will be what? Yes. In okay, on the results of on the financial statements, sometime I saw even when you are presenting their long-term and short-term loans. So in case me, I'm as an investor and I'm maybe comparing KCB and ABSA or KCB and equity, or I'm just doing an analysis of the banks. So which is usually the better, or any company, even in the manufacturing, which is better? Should the company have a long-term loan or should they have a short-term loan?
So I think what matters is basically the strategy and how they'll be able to pay the loan. Because there are companies that can afford to pay a 10-year loan, and there are companies that they can just afford short-term. So it depends on how company is structured. But ideally, when you look at the company, look at the size of the loan compared to the asset. So that's very, very important. For example, Safaricom can afford to pay a 40 billion loan because Longhorn annual revenues are less than 2 billion. And by the way, there's something that I wanted to tell people here. So Sharehub people, last year, EABL made 193 billion in revenue. So please go and also invest in EABL, because you find when it comes to reading books, Longhorn is struggling. Hatutaki kununua vitabu, is making less than 2 billion. So the best now you can do is to become both a consumer and an investor. It's just like Safaricom. And I know for the financial year ending the end of this month, they're likely to make at least 300 billion. So please, as much as we are using airtime mobile data, they're getting money from us, the 300 billion, but also invest so that you can enjoy the dividends. And you can see the dividends were like 55 billion the other year. So that's what we say now. You can be both a consumer and an investor. Because if you're just a consumer, you're just making the billions for other people. So I hope that also motivates you to start playing the money game as well. Thank you.
So tukienda Vasha, we buy a few shares here and there before we go and pick a sherehe. Interesting. Okay, I can pick, let me pick a question from people. Continue putting, maybe I can encourage people on Facebook. Yes, we are live on Facebook also, and I know we have quite a following that people are doing there. Continue putting your questions. Na karibu sana pia for joining us for our webinar, the people on Facebook. Then maybe I can ask, there is also the owner's equity. Maybe you can mention something of that.
So owner's equity is the same as equity or capital. So it simply means shareholders' capital, yeah. So finance people like to complicate things. So the same thing can have 5 names. So I hope that answers you. Yeah. They don't want to be simple at times.
Yes. And there is also someone else who is asking, how many years should I go back? You've shown us like for KCB, you've shown what they reported in September. That is the 9 month. If yes, it's the 9 month period. How far along can I go back? Or how many years should I review? And so that I can be confident as a investor, this is the stock that I'm supposed to buy.
5 to 10 years, because this is your money at stake. Yeah. This is your money at stake, hard-earned money. So look at 5 to 10 years.
5 to 10 years. Right, okay.
Yes, over time, yeah. And that information is available on the company's website.
Okay.
And you can see, just take revenue for 2011 like that. So it will take you less than 30 minutes to have an idea whether the revenues are growing or not. Same to profits and the balance sheet. Thank
you. Okay. There's someone just picking randomly questions, and team, if there's a question, but there's a burning question, I know I have one from Facebook, but we'll be able to take that one also. But there's a question even we have gotten quite interested. You find that there are some companies which are making huge profits. Then when it comes to dividend payments, the dividends, they have really sliced it. And you find that their retained earnings is quite high. As an investor, what should I go for? Should I look at that this company has retained the earnings? That means they will be maybe be opening new branches or putting more into production. Or should I be looking at what are they giving me back as a shareholder? This dividend they are giving me, it could be what they give as shareholders is quite little. So how do you reach, Robert, and maybe Linda, you can also chip in there. How do you reach that balance that you say that I don't care about the dividends, I am more on the capital appreciation or what the company is even doing?
Yeah, so what I would say, like we said, there are growth companies.
Mm-hmm.
And please, if you are in this webinar, never expect dividends from a growth company. If you are given, just say asante sana. If you're expecting dividends from equity, you are investing in the wrong company. The same as Safaricom and the likes of KCB. If they're giving you, that is just by the way, because we can see they're investing heavily to grow the future of the company. Like the investment equity made in DRC during the peak of COVID, they are bringing a lot of profit. So it is a growth companies. But the dividend counters like Stanchart, BAT. So the problem with us sometimes as investors, we want to be wajuaji. Please don't go to expect something that is not for equity. Equity is growth stock, KCB, Safaricom. The dividends that we are getting is just to say hi to you, ni salamu during the year. But the real thing is that now as the profits start growing, you see the share price will be going up, and people have seen that the growth stock, then there are more of capital gain. So your portfolio is to diversify. You have growth stock, have dividends. So these same people, if you tell them now you want dividend from equity, but Stanchart pays good dividend, they won't buy Stanchart. They want everything from one country. So as an investor, your job is to look at the opportunities that are available in the market, then use them as tools for what you want. If you want dividend, go for the dividend counters. And believe you me, the dividend is very good for the dividend counters. You can get 8% or 14%, 8 to 14% here in Kenya, the likes of BAT Stanchart. Then there are companies that are undervalued like Jubilee Holdings, DTB. So have those three categories and then create a portfolio. Because an investor is not someone whose full-time job is to complain and say things that they don't like. Your job is to identify the opportunities and go for things that work for you. The rest, like personally, I don't care about KPLC or KQ. Even if you wake me in the middle of the night, I'll tell you I don't know about those companies. I don't care the results that are announced because I have to limit what my area of concern is. There are 66 companies. It is too much to care about everything. So to mind my business, I'll create a filter list and say, these are the companies that are going to serve me my hard-earned money. So that discipline is key, rather than trying to be concerned about everything and and losing focus. So I hope that answers. So Linda, you can also help me there.
Yeah, I think as well I might say, as an investor, you have to have like a long-term view, because you also have to remember the likes of Stanchart and BAT, at some point in the past, they were also growth companies and they retained, and that's why they are where they are today. So if you look at the company you're investing in and you can see that growth potential, when you have that long-term view, then you will not complain about the short-term gains. You are looking at what you will gain 5, 10 years down the line.
Okay, Asante sana. Yes, but I think that's a good takeaway, because sometimes you wonder there are about 11 companies in the banking sector. Should I follow all of them? How do I even keep track? How now Equity may announce I am there with my paper trying to see, or with my pen and paper trying to see which is which, or even how, because yes, Robert, that is very good advice. I know we have a few burning questions which are still there. We would like also to know what are the red flags that someone should look at when they're looking at the financial statements. Personally, I would even like to know which are the growth stocks also, and even expound on that more. The announcements for banks are coming in, and I know Robert can tell us which is usually the first bank to announce, or should we wait, or do they wait for the same day? Then you see the announcement for ABSA, KCB, and CBA. I think they have malls everywhere that you know today is the day for announcement. Then you find announcement each after the other. So it will be good to get to at least discuss more and find out and even come deeper and really know, because sometimes I look at financial statements and I see there are other things that they have written, there are even other assets. So you find which other assets are these they are not telling us. And as more, if the company has more assets, is it better than a company which has less assets, but they're giving dividends? And at what point, maybe even Linda and Robert, you can take this as we go along. At what point will these Kenyan companies start giving back us, the shareholders, or us, the investors, what we deserve in terms of the dividends, percentage of the dividends coming in? We can't wait to see whereby we are getting the dividends like what the people in the States get. Huge dividends, huge capital appreciation. By today, next, by the end, by mid-March there, when Equity announces, then I'll be a rich woman by then. So we will take all the questions. We'll have another session where we are going to tackle some of the questions I've mentioned, some of the questions. I know there are many questions which are coming in, but we'd like to give a chance also to Linda to do her presentation, and then we'll take other questions as they come in, sorry. And I'd like to invite Linda. Karibu sana.
Okay, thank you so much, Irene, and thank you so much, Robert. That was very insightful, and I like that bit. Relax, as even when you're starting your investment journey, relax, because sometimes I guess we get scared because there's so much jargon going up and down. You're visiting your advisor or your broker there, then they start giving you so many terms there. You're like, hey, maybe this thing is not for me. So just relax. And for me, I think the two main takeaways from Robert's presentation and even what he's shared is two things. One is the data. The numbers don't lie. So if you know where to get the numbers and you know how to look at those numbers, then you become more confident. And two is information. Which information are you getting? Where is it coming from? And then, when you combine these two things, you're able to understand and you gain more confidence as you start your investment journey. And in a nutshell, that is what Sharehub is doing. We are here to support you as an investor, and we are looking to see where can we come in to be able to provide you with the support that you need, so that as you start your investment journey or as you grow your investment, you're able to know that this is a credible source of information. So allow me to take you through just briefly what Sharehub is about, and then also just take you through our app and the kind of support that we'll be able to give you. Sharehub is a platform that enables everyone to acquire knowledge about and to increase accessibility to the capital markets in Kenya. So we are dedicated to give you the very best when it comes to learning, play, and investing experience with a focus on ease, accessibility, information, and security. So our vision as Sharehub is to enable active and empowered investors to maximize their returns in the capital markets industry. We are on a mission to provide an informative and safe platform to enable you to learn and trade and to connect people with real investing opportunities and enable you, our customers, to fulfill your investment goals. So Sharehub is based on 3 pillars. We have the play pillar, the learn, and the invest. We figured we want to get young people, especially the young ones, to start the investment journey early or to understand what investment is about. And so the play pillar of Sharehub is mainly using edugaming approach to make learning about investments fun and interactive as you gain your investment skills. The learn aspect is to enable you gain real-time information and the news to support your investment trading decisions. And then we have the invest option, which is not yet live, but then it allows you to gain access to invest in linked securities exchange. So I'll take you through, but I also believe in being able to see it live. So I'll just be able to log on to the app later on and take you through all this. But the play pillar, we have Jikuze quizzes, and these are just quiz questions with multiple choice that for us, it enables you to be able to become familiar with the terminologies that are used in the stock market. So especially as a beginner, when you're starting out your investment journey and you go and you're opening the account, or, I've seen people asking, so, shares, dividends, and you see announcements have been done and you're being told this share is trading come dividend, this share is trading X dividend. So when you go through the Jikuze quizzes, you're able to learn what these terminologies mean. So when you see them, you understand. And then now from there, once you learn about the terminologies, we understand, even investing is a process. So we have stock market simulator game, Wazito Shares Challenge. In this, we have games of virtually listed games. It mirrors what happens at the Nairobi Securities Exchange. So you're able to invest in a virtual environment. And so you test out your investment strategy, you come in, you can play with your friends, see if you can grow your portfolio, and then you gain the confidence so that when you go and start really investing, you understand how the stock market works. Now as Sharehub, we've gone a step further, and also we are working on another stock market simulator game, but this is based on the real on stocks that are listed on the Nairobi Securities Exchange, the companies that make up the MSCI 20 share index. And once we launch it out, we'll be able to share with you on that. So look out for that as well. But as you can see, we are trying to get you to, we are with you in the whole process of investing. So when you're starting to learn, when you're on how to trade, creating your investment strategies. And remember, I think one of the key things is when you're learning how to trade in a virtual environment, you can test out all these things you hear everyone telling you, oh, you can buy this, you can do this. You can test it out on the virtual environment without losing any money. And you see if it really works before you go and test it out in the real market environment. On the learn aspect, as Sharehub, we provide you with market news, and this keeps you updated on the latest financial news. And you get this at the palm of your hands because you're able to get it on the app. And as we avail current financial news sourced from reputable financial news outlets, which is very, very important. Even as Robert was taking you through the financials, he didn't go to some random site. He went to the company website. So it's also very important where you are getting the information from. And what we've gone a step further and consolidated this for your accessibility with just a click. And then we have market information. Our market information section includes the current stock prices, the price changes, the volumes traded, the list of companies and their performance. Because again, we have those 66 listed. It's very hard for you to say every single day you will know what is happening on ABSA, what is happening with Safaricom, what's on KCB, even the other stocks that we don't talk so much about, the homeboys and all the other stocks. But from now, the market info section of Sharehub, you're able to see all this. You get an overview of all these stocks. So now I I believe seeing is believing. I'll stop sharing that. So that is the Sharehub app. I hope everyone can see. Now here, today I'm Irene, and once you log in, I hope most of you have managed to download it. You sign in and you come, and you'll go to the option for view games. And when you go to view games, as I said, this is the play pillar of Sharehub. And first, we would recommend, though, you are at liberty to go through either. So I'll start with Jikuze. As I said, Jikuze, the questions are in levels, and each level has 5 questions. And as you get, yes, so now we're in. So the questions are arranged in levels. Each level has 5 questions, and every question you answer correctly, you get tokens. And as you move on to the other levels, you add on to your tokens, and as you'll see later, these tokens will be able to redeem them as you go on to the other games. But yes, so the questions are, you will start off like just getting you to understand the simple terminologies, what happens, the NSE market, what time does it open, what time does it close, what is a market price when I'm going to place my order and they tell me I can place it at market, or I can put my price, all those things you get to understand when you look at the market information and you see outstanding shares, what does that mean, and all that. So you get to learn all those terminologies when you play Wazito. When you play the Jikuze. And now Wazito is our game, the virtual stock market simulator game. And this, we have 45 companies on this one, and we have 3 levels on Wazito. So first level has 15 companies. These are virtual companies. So when you come in, you'd pay 100 shillings, and that 100 shillings is converted to 10,000 virtual money. And 10,000 is a lot. So you'd come in and you buy and sell. And as you progress on, so if you grow your portfolio to 10% and more, then you progress on to the next level, which is the intermediate level. And at the intermediate level, you get more companies. Now, at the intermediate level, there are 30 virtual companies. And all these companies are across the different sectors, just as they are at the Nairobi Securities Exchange. So you have companies, agricultural companies. You'll see a company like Green when you're on Wazito. You'll see banking companies like Zoo Banking. You'll see transport, Jillian and all that. So we've looked at the different sectors and the companies that are listed, and we've sort of created virtual companies here as well, that you're able now to learn how to trade using that. And then when you grow your portfolio again on the second level, you advance on to the third level, and the third level has 45 companies. Again, virtual, different sectors. And with this, you play, and at this stage, you're also able to, compete with your friends. And once in a while, as Sharehub, we'd look into how you are, how you're performing on the advanced level, and see some prizes as well that can be won there. So the game also simulates the market by providing opinion articles, press releases, which also trigger the market. It's the same way, just the other day, Safaricom announced interim dividend. And then you will see towards books closure, you'll see some movement. And even now you're seeing some movement in the market on the counter. And it's the same as well on the virtual environment. So these news come out, and they're able to trigger some movement in the share. So as an investor, you get to understand how to relate news that is coming out about a company, and then the share price and the volume movement on the market as well. So which is the same as what happens in the real stock market. So even as you go out there, it will be, yes, different. This is a virtual, that's the real environment, but it's the same, it works on the same concept. So all players start at the beginner level, and then, you grow your portfolio, you advanced on to the intermediary level, and then from the intermediary level, you advance on to the advanced level. And as I said, we're in the process of now rolling out a new game, which is now based on the NSE 20 share index companies, which will now be, just to try now get you more accustomed to the shares that are out there. So, you'll be able to trade on ABSA, you'll be able to trade on the KCBs and all that. So as now you progress on to start your real investing, the listed companies won't be very new to you as well. So as you can see, so those are the news that we put on, and you're also able to see, to track and see, so what's happening on the counters on this virtual. So it's basically as it is on the real stock markets. Then the news, and this is for us, what we've done is we collate all information, as I said, from reliable sources, and you're able now just on your phone, on the go, you're sitting in the matatu trying to get to the office and you want to keep up to date what is happening, then you're able to read the news, you connect and read. So we try to make sure that that is updated, and we keep you updated, because then as an investor as well, at times it's very hard, like you can't go click on the KCB website and then come out to go click on Safaricom, then go click on equity. So we try and get you all this information. What are they saying? Are there changes in the board at Kenyan? Yes, there is. You click, you'll be able to see that. So you're kept up to date as well, and you can relate that to what is happening with the share prices and the share movements out on the market as well. And as I said, data is very important. It's very good to understand. And I think it's Maya Angelou who said the past is, we have to respect the past. If you don't know where you are coming from, it's very hard for you to know where you're going. And that's why I left the question where I think it's someone who was asking, so how far back do you go when you're looking at what to invest in? Do I just look at what happened last year and all that? And Robert said you look 5-10 years. So at Sharehub, we have availed data up to 10 years back of data, which is available now out to you. And again, if you ask every veteran investor, they'll tell you, please don't invest in something you don't know. Take time to learn about a company so that you know exactly where are they, what are their growth prospects, what are they working, what are they doing, what are their projects, who are the people in the company, who are the managements, do they have issues, are they being called by the anti-corruption? All those things you need to understand before you put your money, because it is your money you're putting into these companies. So you need to understand, and it gives you like a certain level of confidence when you know that this company started off here and this is how it has been progressing from then and up to now. And that information, that kind of data, Sharehub is providing that for you. So if we look at, let's say we talked about Safaricom today, so you can look at Safaricom from here. So you'd come and in a snapshot, it will give you what was Safaricom, the price that it was trading at today. You can see the volume that it traded today, and company profile. As I say, don't invest in something you don't know. Take time to understand what the company is about. And then you also get to understand, we're providing it in like a chart format, because I think for me sometimes as well, just by looking at it, you can be able to figure out the trend of something. So we provide share price and the volume movement, so you can click on something and know on 7th of February, Safaricom closed at 24 shillings and it traded 1.1 million shares. And you can put this on a historical chart basis and see, so how is the price and the volume movement on that counter. And from this, you can tell, is a counter liquid, is a stock liquid, in terms of if I buy Safaricom and maybe like at some point I see it's gone up, I want to be able to realize my capital gains, or maybe I'm pressed and I want to sell a bit. Will I be able, is there a demand on the market for me to be able to sell? Those are very important factors when you're looking at what to invest in as well. And that's now presented to you in a chart format. And then we also present to you the earnings per share. And earnings per share, Robert has talked so much about revenue, and you look at the profitability. Earnings per share is just an indicator of the profitability of a company, and you're able to see as a shareholder, how is it, of what value is it to me for the shares I hold from the profit that the company is making. Because as an investor, I think it's, someone had asked, like when you're looking even at banks, it's rarely that you'd be able to get to invest in all the banks. So when you want to start your analysis and figure out which bank for me would I be able to invest in, the earnings per share would be able to help you compare the companies that are listed that are on the same industry. And then you can also use it to track the historical profitability of a company to see what the trend is. And at times as well, a high EPS is usually perceived that the company is making more money. And if it's making more money, then as investor, of course, you always feel like the companies make more money. So you're expecting them to pay you to increase the dividend or pay you more dividend. But then again, you also have to remember where does it lie. If it's a growth company, if it's making more money, then it's at times, it can retain it as retained earnings to grow the company further. Then dividend, and these are some of the terms that you get to learn when you do the Jikuze quizzes. These are some of the terms where you get to learn. So the dividend is what the company gives you back. We say it as to say thank you for being a shareholder. But then, so dividend per share is the total dividend that a company pays out over a 12-month period. We just said Safaricom announced an interim dividend, 58 cents. So it's dividend. The DPS chart is important to you as a shareholder because dividend is an income to you as a shareholder. You get it. The company pays you, and that becomes part of your passive income. And then it also signals at times the strength of a company because the company is saying we've made this much money, but we okay giving you giving out part of it to you. So it's sort of like signaling a sustainable and stable growth. Because at times you also don't want to start investing and it's giving you now today and then 5 years or what, and it's not issuing any dividends. So it's also good to be able to learn the trend of that. And then as well, so we have the recent as you can see, the public notice on interim dividend for the year ending 31st March 2023. So this information you'll be able to get from the Sharehub app as well. And market news, what is the news out there that's related to Safaricom? And you're able to read, because this market news do affect the activity in the market on that counter. I hope I've not missed anything. So on the information that we give from our market information, you're able to get the daily trading prices, the daily trading volumes, the market indices, as you saw, the earnings per share, the dividends per share, and this dates back all the way to 10 years of data. We have different subscription packages, and when you look at that, you'll be able to see which one, and at the very competitive prices, you'll be able to see which one you can sign up for. And I hope that for me, it's just to be able to show you the kind of support that at Sharehub we've taken time to figure out how we can be able to support you as an investor, provide you with the information that you need, provide you with the support, even like with webinars like this, to share that information in simplified way to be able to guide you through your investment journey. And I think that is it from me.
Thank you, Linda. you know, where, okay, I am part of Sharehub, but when even right now, when I go through Sharehub, I can really tell, as Kenyans, we are telling the Kenyan story. We are saying that this is our market. We own our market, we own the NSE, and anybody, anyone, wherever you are, you can own shares. And at Sharehub now, this is all the support that we're giving. Linda, you've gotten quite positive comments from the chats. I know you are just there anxious going through the app and all that, but this is the Kenyan story. And maybe I can draw a question to you that we've gotten from Facebook. This beautiful, innovative app that you have presented, how much do I need to pay so that I can register for the app, I can use the app? Pesa ngapi?
Wakenya na pesa. So to download the app and register, it's free of charge. When you come into the app and you start out, if you want to learn the terminologies and everything, and you start out on the Wazito, on the Jikuze quizzes, that is also free. So, and remember I said, as you play and go along the levels, for each right answer you get, you're earning tokens. And these tokens, you can redeem them when you now go into the virtual stock market game. And now you add that. So once you advance and you now want to test out the trading aspect, when you go to Wazito, you would part with 100 shillings, and these 100 shillings translate into 10,000 virtual shares. And your 10,000 virtual shares is what you'll use now to start playing the game. And now I tell everyone, when you come to play, don't come alone. Come with that friend of yours and the other friend, and see, test out all these investing strategies that we've been talking about. Or maybe if you're in school and you're doing finance or investment, and you've been taught these things, this is a way to be able to do it practically. And as you're trying to grow your portfolio, you also have an opportunity to top up. So for every 100 shillings you top up, you get 10,000 more. So, of course, that gives you also more muscle to buy, to trade more on those ones. And maybe also gives you an opportunity to win against your friend. Let me also mention that on the Wazito, for every month, we have a challenge that runs. The March one is set to open tomorrow. And yes, so and it's for the whole month. And as I said, you come in, you start playing, you come with your friends, compete with one another, see who's going to be on the leaderboard, look at the Wazito news and see how it's affecting the Wazito market, the counters there. But yes, it is just basically 100, because for us, I think the main aim is to get people to understand how to invest and to know that investing is not hard. It's for all of us. And yes, in Robert's words, relax. Ukikuja tu Wazito, anza kucheza pole pole, relax, and you learn at your own pace before now you move on to go and invest in the real market.
Okay, we are relaxed. But maybe even what I would like maybe to add on to what Linda has said is that Sharehub has given you the platform that you can come and say that if today I had 1 million shillings, what would I invest in? What are the investment decisions would I make? Am I afraid of failure? What is the risk that I can say that I can take? Because even as we have learned, as we've heard from people do, I know Robert will say the same, and even Linda will say the same. There are people who go to the market and they lose money. But when you've been given such a platform, you've been told there is 1 million, whichever whatever you buy, take the risk as you can, learn the market, learn how to know if what Robert is showing you in Wazito Shares Challenge, it will be on the financial statements that a company made a loss. What should be your move? Should you sell? If you hear today that KCB has made a huge loss, do you run practically to your broker and tell them sell everything? So these are some of the things that how long does the market take to react? What are I know people are asking, what are the red flags that you look at? When you are in practice session, you can be able to take through all this. Yes, another maybe one parting question, last question from you, Linda. You talked about Sharehub having 3 pillars. There is a play pillar, there's a learn pillar, and there's the invest session. I don't know if it is only me, but we didn't hear you mentioning something about the invest pillar. So tell us.
Yeah, we get this question a lot. As I said, for Sharehub, we want to be with you through your whole investment journey. And that includes coming in, starting to learn, and then putting what you've learned in practice, which is investing. And now, so we have the learn aspect where you have all the information that you need. And then we have the play aspect where you go in and you test out all this in the virtual environment. And then we talked about the invest. Now, the invest option to us is now where we'd be able to be with you as well when you go into the real market. When you start trading at the Nairobi Securities Exchange. This is not yet live. And to be honest, as even with children, when you start off, you start off by you just your mother's milk, then you get weaned, you will crawl there before you walk. So we are about to walk, so keep it here when we walk, and you're able now to invest. When the invest option is live, we'll be able to update you on that, but we are working on it. I think that is the much I can say, because it's still a work in progress.
True. Thank you very much, Linda, for that. As we move on, I think, Robert, you've been very quiet, and questions have been coming in for you also. We can take 1 or 2 as we continue. You mentioned there is somebody on the Q&A who has mentioned, you talked about undervalued stocks. Maybe elaborate on that, on undervalued stocks, and how do we identify them? Linda, chip in also. How do we know if which bank is undervalued? Should we all run and go and buy that stock? Maybe talk a bit more on that.
Yeah, so I think valuation should be after this session on financial analysis, so that they are not overwhelmed with information. Yeah, but basically for banks, you can just look at the book value or the shareholder equity versus the market capitalization. If the market capitalization in the stock market as of today is lower than the shareholder equity, then you can just say in a layperson's language that the company is undervalued. But I think it should be a follow-up session. So you can see the way we're running the sessions, they are quite structured, so that after we've understood financial analysis, now you go to valuation, which should now be the last step. And I think we can only encourage the participants to keep it locked here, follow us, follow the upcoming sessions, register on the email list for Sharehub, join the community so that you get information on the upcoming sessions. So at the end of it all, you'll be ready to roll in the market, and be part of the opportunities in our local market. Thank you.
True. Thank you, Robert, for that, and for attendees. All these questions, here we have another session where we will have another session where we can where we tackle now all these. What does a good portfolio make? We have seen all the questions that have been coming in. Highly priced versus low priced stocks. All these questions which have been coming in, we will have a session and really look at how on the valuation part, on the trading basics, all that. Yes, we will be able to look at that. As we continue, yes, I can mention about the Sharehub community. We have a growing community that we've been working, that we've been taking this journey together. We have the Sharehubbers WhatsApp group where we have quite an interesting WhatsApp page. All these things that we are discussing here, this is what we discuss on a daily basis. If there's an announcement, we discuss it on the WhatsApp page. I would ask the team to put in the link so that anyone who is interested in joining that community, they can join in. If it is so that we can together as investors, as beginners in this investment journey, we can all come in and discuss. If you are sure of something, we discuss it there. We also discuss our games. We discuss what is happening in Sharehub, what is happening in the virtual stock market game, what is happening at the NSC, about the news, all things that affect the stock market. It's quite an engaging platform, and we would like to invite you all to join there. On other communities that we are in, we are on social media. Follow us. We are on everywhere. We are on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on LinkedIn, we are on TikTok, we are on YouTube, we are on, which one didn't I mention? We are on Instagram. Very soon we'll be in Pinterest. As the world moves, as the generation moves, as we have all these places where there are safe places where people can express themselves, people can learn more. We're also there at Sharehub as we support you on this investment journey. So, and they put in, we'll have the links going over there so that people can engage also there. We had, is there someone who has a burning question who would like to ask it live as we come to the end of the session? Someone can ask a live question. Just raise your hand if you would be interested to asking a live question. As we had mentioned, we'll be having surveys and polls running through. Kindly give us your feedback. We shall appreciate. We do appreciate very much. Let me see if there's a burning question which is there. There are people who are asking if we provide a live trading platform. Yes, Nicholas, we do provide a live trading platform. That is our Zito Shares Challenge. This is a market simulation game where you are able to practice the stock market. Yes. There's someone who is saying that we should also create a session on how to create an investment strategy. Yes, we can do that because I know that is quite engaging. The highly priced stocks. Yes, as we continue relaxing, I haven't. Thank you very everyone for the positive comments that you're getting. Thank you. For those of us who haven't yet downloaded the Sharehub app, we have the QR code there. You can put in, but maybe what I wanted to mention at this is that just scan the code. As Robert and also Linda, but the way Robert has explained that there is a KCB, we have 66 listed companies. All these companies announce their end of year results, and the financial statements are there. What we've done as a Sharehub, as we support you on the financial journey, is that we have all this collated into one. So when you are on the Sharehub app, you'll be able to, like I have seen Robert has advised that Stanbic will be announcing on 9th of March, while Stanchart will announce on 14th of March. Maybe you won't have the newspaper, maybe you won't have time to go to to the website to get these financial statements. At Sharehub, we are working for you and working with you. We will have the financial statements in Sharehub. You just have to log in, you go to Market Info, and you're able to download that statement from Sharehub. So you are all at one, it's at your fingertips because you have everything there. So these are some of the advantages that Sharehub offers. So scan me as it is on the screen, download the app, and as they come in, take this as one of the takeaways that this is somewhere you can come in and download the reports also, and be able also to know more about the Market Info, what is accessible to you, what can help you in your investment journey. Whether you are a beginner, whether you are a seasoned investor, or whether you are huku katikati, we are also there, the people who have invested kidogo kidogo, and you are growing your investment journey. So download the Sharehub app. I'll ask the team also to put the link of the Sharehub app on the chat so that it can be easier for the people, for the person who can't, maybe cannot scan, that they can just pick the link there. Team, kindly put the app. Okay, thank you, Linda, for that. Team, the app, please, on the chat session. Yes. The questions are still coming in, and we still have quite a number of people online. We will be ending the session. So I take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you. Every one of you for joining our webinar. We do hold these webinars every month where we try to train people on the basics of the stock market, as we bridge that gap of financial literacy, that everyone is able to understand more about trading the stock market. Thank you, everyone who is complimenting us. We will keep it locked on our social media pages. We do announce when you're having the sessions. Robert, I can give you a chance to say final remarks, and then Linda as we close.
Yeah, so thank you very much, everyone, for joining, and thanks to the Sharehub team for inviting me. So check us out on social media at the Abojani on Twitter. Thank you and bye-bye. Good night.
Thank you very much, Robert. And we can have, before Linda comes in, we were backed also up with the team at the office. Nelly and Rosemary, kindly say hi to the team as you wish them a good night.
Hi, team. Sorry. Hi, people. Thank you for attending this. So grateful that you joined us. I hope you've grabbed something from Robert, from Linda, from Irene, and from Sharehub team as well. As a whole, we're glad, and we hope that we're going to continue engaging on our social media pages, WhatsApp page, and popote pale. Tag us along to ulize maswali. We're here to answer. Thank you and have a lovely good night. Hope to see you for the next session. Bye-bye.
Rosemary?
Hi, everyone. I hope you've enjoyed the session as much as I did. I've also learned a lot. I'm a baby investor. I've not gotten to the veteran level. So yes, now I know even more to help me grow. Please, if you have not answered our survey, please do. We would really love to hear your feedback. So before you leave, please fill our survey. Have a lovely evening. Hope to see you in the next webinar.
Thank you, Rosemary. Linda?
I think for me as well, it's thank you everyone for joining us today. And as I always say, if you've learned something good, don't keep quiet with it. Share. If your mother there, your father, your brother, they all have phones, encourage them to download, to try out the Jikuze quizzes, the Wazito challenge, then engage us, as Nelly has said, so that wherever you feel like you're getting stuck or you're not sure about something, we are able to now to, talk you through and guide you through the process. So do share what you've learned, and as well continue engaging us and let us know how else we can be able to to offer support as Sharehub in your investment journey. But thank you so much for today and for engaging us with your questions and your comments as well.
Thank you, Linda. For me, thank you. Let me tell you, you guys were just great and awesome. You engaged us. You actually, in the first place, you came for the webinar. Thank you very much. And we'd like to see you more and more as we learn from each other. Thank you, Robert, for that engaging session that you have learned. And yes, it is true that it's a lot of information for 1 hour, but at least you have given us guidelines on what to do, what are the next steps, what should we check on, what we have learned. We came in fresh, and I know most of us, we have learned from what you have presented. And also, Linda, thank you very much for telling us more about Sharehub and your presentation. Thank you, the Sharehub team, which had joined us for this session also. And thank you. And see you next time. We shall be logging off now. And have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kwaherini, kwaherini. Good night, everyone, and enjoy your day tomorrow and the weekend also as it comes in.